some baby mamas have not even had the opportunity to say, I actually wanted to be married to him. Right? And that's why I'm bitter, because she got the family and I didn't.
Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Conversation Capital. Ubonga Puerta, unjani sisi?
Ngiyaphila sisi njani?
Ay, nami ngiyaphila. Kodwa isulu sethu siyahlangana ne.
Esakho mina esami kudala sihlangene.
You're full of nonsense.
Esami kudala sihlangene girl. Ngeke ungihlebe ngesiZulu.
Today we're chatting all things.
Do you see how she's avoiding to go further with the conversation?
Namhlanje
For
sixoxa
people
yonke into
who are wondering who is better.
Nonsense. So today we're chatting all things to do with the blended family.
Yes.
So I come from a blended family. I love this topic. I love the song by Alicia Keys that sings of blended family. Have you heard that song Blended Family by Alicia Keys? You don't know? Okay, anyway, we're chatting everything to do with blended family.
Lead us with the song, Bina.
You're really just hitting on all my insecurities today. So blended family is, for those that don't know, a blended family is basically, where steps are involved. And I think steps would be the key identifier of a blended family.
Even children joining different
Yes.
siblings from different parents.
Yes, yeah, that makes up a blended family. So I love this topic. It's dear to my heart. It's dear to my heart because it is the average, but it's treated as though it is not. People make it seem like the white picket fence, mom, dad, 2 children is the standard, when the truth is that it isn't. And when we don't highlight that it isn't, it makes people feel like they don't come from a perfect family. I come from a perfect family, and we're a blended family, and so it's really important. I love these conversations. I love highlighting it. However, the people we have today came to us via email, and I read the story and I said, boom, I love it. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got Thandi, Domingo, and Nokulunga, Moshime. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Are you guys good?
We're happy to be here.
Awesome. We can sometimes ramble really too.
Yeah.
And you guys sit awkwardly. So I said, let me quickly rope you into the conversation. So, we're chatting everything to do with blended family. And should I preempt the story, or should I just ask you guys how you guys know each other? Or should I preempt a little bit that, we've got baby mama here and we've got stepmother over here, who are now thick as thieves. They're good friends, and they say they formed a sisterhood. And maybe let's just start right at the top.
Yeah.
And Thandi, I believe the story starts with you because you met him first.
This is where we're not sure who met who first, but we know that we were dating him at the same time.
No,
this says these women are way more emotionally intelligent than
most of us. Absolutely.
No, we were dating him at the same time, but we didn't know. So then I fell pregnant in the relationship. And for me, it was still hunky-dory. I think the bliss was coming from ignorance really on my end, because there were some red flags for Mugai. Really into me 100%. When I did just something that's off, I think as a woman, right? And I think I knew, but I didn't want to know, right? And then fell pregnant. When I'm pregnant, now the presence of a child requires that families must get involved, right? So when I spoke to him, then I realized, no, but he's being dodgy, you're right. And so I decided, look, this is like 15 years ago. So I decided, let me go check what's going on his profile, on his Facebook profile. Before then, I had not had an inclination really to go investigate and go see what's going on. So eventually I go on his profile and I see Ma'am. Yeah. Sure. And Ma'am is there, glaringly there. Happy moments are shared on Facebook, etc. Right? So I'm thinking, what the heck? Can't we sharing a person here, right? So I write her. First of all, I create a fake Facebook profile. And I write her and I speak to her about hair. She had nice hair at that time that she had on. So I asked her, where did you get your hair? And she was graceful whenever too. She didn't, I guess she had no reason to say anything else or be rude, right? Because I was asking about hair. And then she comes back and she says, no, I got the hair from here, etc., etc. And we get to chat And I say, can I have your number? And she gracefully just gives me her number. All right. And we take the conversation off Facebook. Yeah. So then I call her, and because I think in that moment I'm still trying to suss her out. What kind of person is it? Can I break the news to her? Can I tell her what I've just discovered, that we are dating the same person? And because she was so nice, I ended up just not wanting to prolong the situation. So I said to her, listen, this is who I am. I'm not the fake Facebook profile. This is my name, my surname. And I think we're dating the same person. And I am pregnant. All right. And yeah, I think you can take it from there.
Yeah.
And then on your side?
Oh, on my side, I am dating this handsome dude. And all things are good, until that day I get the Facebook
This is the
message.
first time you're experiencing that he's cheated, or he cheated on you before?
No. Oh, I know we're good.
Oh.
I don't see anything.
How many years had it been? Months?
Almost a year.
Almost a year.
Almost. So it's still a couple of months. But
And for you?
It was also
Yeah.
almost a year.
Oh my God. Daddy. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
so
No judgment.
yeah. So all is good until I get a Facebook DM. And then obviously, like she said, she's talking about here. Then it went to not WhatsApp. No, there wasn't WhatsApp at that time. BBM.
How?
Yes.
15
years
15 years
ago.
ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and when she then breaks the news, first thing I'm like, oh, girl is lying. There's no way, And then I want to find out, So I then go to the guy. Mugai, here's a story. What's this that I hear? And then, in fact, I was like, someone says that they are pregnant, so I don't relate like everything. I was so confused and I just wanted to know the answer right then. And then he says, Bacho jwalo, as if he's being accused or something. I'm like, what do you know? Because I didn't even relate everything word for word. Oh, sorry. I didn't relate everything word for word. So he knew, and that answer on its own just was what shattered my heart. Yeah, then I got shattered, and then obviously it's confirming, and then obviously it's confirmed that...
I love how this thing of like, and the small one sentence,
Yeah.
one word can just throw you off. Where your brain quickly does 1 + 1. I'm reading this novel called All the Men in Lagos Are Crazy, and this woman is a pastor's wife. It's lovely. It's a lovely book.
Yeah.
And this woman, the side chick, is exposing this pastor for cheating. And then it's just one sentence that she says her husband, and she knows only her husband says that.
Yeah.
And right there, she knows she's being cheated. So it's just a small little thing that somebody says or does that makes you say, and then what happens from there? Babe, it's over. I hate you. What do you do?
Yeah, exactly that.
Oh, is
what
it-
every other girl would do, So it's, I know, dude. And with that said, so she comes up, when one thing actually pops up, it's almost like then other things come to follow. So only to find that it's not only one person. So obviously it's like, I don't deserve this. You don't deserve me, And so the breakup kind of happens. But then the breakup happens, you still not believing, But then until she actually sends me the evidence, because like I'm not asking her, okay, send me the evidence of this thing,
You
And
still
when
want to forgive your man.
Yeah, well, yeah. You still do, You still
And
you're
you're
still
trying to
trying to
answer the
accept.
questions
Yeah, you're
in
still
your
trying.
head.
Yes, when? Because I didn't really see any red flags. That's the thing, because he was with me all the time.
Or what feels like all the time.
Yeah, what feels like all the time. I could call him at any time. I'm known to the family. So obviously I'm thinking, how? Yes. Only to find out that no, So when she sent the pictures, I'm like, okay, so this is real. So yeah.
Okay, your side. Now they're breaking up that side. Which I'm going to get my
No,
happy family or what's
no,
happening?
they're not breaking up yet. So she and I speak, and then we like, she says to me, listen, I'm done. And I'm like, I'm also done, you know, so it's an agreement. And then, and then I decided that he wasted my time, and in my heartbreak, I just felt like I'm
many months
gonna
pregnant
go
are
on a rampage. I'm like, I was 8 months pregnant. Yeah.
You're heavily
So
pregnant.
yeah, this is June, and I'm giving birth in July, right? So I just decided I'm gonna go on a rampage, and I'm also going to speak to his family, right? So I really, everything that could come out of heartbreak came out. I swore at him. I did whatever I needed to do and say to him. And she and I think, spoke a couple of times, and then the connection cut off. And then I realized during that period that there's now a narrative that he is spinning, right, due to now being found out. Because I think everybody goes into a self-preservation mode when you've been found out. So he went into self-preservation, and so he would say certain things about me that weren't true to her, etc. So she and I, we literally parted ways from there, right? And then I give birth, and I'm still fighting him, and I'm now having conversations with him. Sabo, you're not gonna have access to this child, you know. I was that baby mama. I was like, you're not gonna have access to this child. I cannot look at you and your family, you know. So the child is born, and she looks exactly like him and his family. She's a beautiful child. And
Hey, this person is handsome. You said he's handsome. Now you're referring to a beautiful child.
she's gorgeous. You know
she
what?
is,
I'll
yeah.
show you the picture. She's really gorgeous, you know.
He
and
is too.
Yeah, he is a handsome guy. I mean, I don't date. I told you my husband
It's hard.
is a
Yeah.
hottie,
Hey, these ladies,
Yeah.
these ladies. You come on, kiki mashashkele. But these ladies, they don't play that game.
So my daughter is born. Now there's issues concerning how is the child going to be maintained, etc. Right? So then I go to maintenance court for that, because during that time it's acrimonious. We're not talking, and nobody wants to call. I don't want to call. They don't want to call me. You know, so nobody's talking to each other. So go to maintenance court, and I think the child was over 6 months at that time, right? And they had already gotten married. Yes. They had already gotten married.
I'm so shocked you didn't get to that part of the story. Okay, wait.
Yeah.
No, maybe you should finish off your sentence, and then we'll jump back to what you're going through.
It actually kind of like interlinks a
Okay.
bit, you know, because when she talks of maintenance, I'm already there.
And your wife now.
Yes.
So, okay, let's backtrack to, because now you found out you've broken up with him.
So
What
we
happened?
break up.
Yeah.
Né? I'm angry and I go crying. Oh, the important factor in this that when we break up, we're already engaged.
Okay.
So I break up and I go to my mom and I'm like, Mukel, that wedding you were thinking is happening. Lalela, it's not happening anymore. You know? And she just looks at me and she's on some, okay. And then she then says, oh, you're a child of God. I'm like, yeah. Have you prayed? No. She says to me, I then want you to go to your creator, get an answer from him, then you're going to come back to me with the answer God has given you. So I'm like, okay, fine. I go into prayer, right? And me going into prayer, I've already come up with the thing that, I mean, God can see that I've been cheated on. Obviously, he's going to agree, you know. What am I going to find there, you know? But I go do it. go into prayer, and I'm praying, and for the first couple of days, I can't even talk. I can't even say anything to this guy. And the reason why I go into prayer is because I then realized, even in the dating, I didn't even include God. Yet here am I, I'm a Christian, yet I found myself in a relationship. I hadn't even given it to God. I haven't even asked God. And then now I find myself, I'm engaged, and I had never really had time to spend with God regarding the relationship that I was in. So I then go into prayer, and sure. Boy.
Do you have a moment where you think to yourself, and maybe this is more directed to you, Thandi, when you hear that she's engaged to him, and do you have the moment where you're like, oh, I'm the side?
Yeah, because it was in that moment where I realized, yeah, and also he's already made his choice, right? Because obviously, if he's engaged, there's a process that has been engaged already with the parents, right? So, and they're working towards something.
And then do you feel betrayed by, Nokulunga to say, how
I did. I felt like a woman, like I felt like, where's this woman standing with another woman? But in my healing journey, I realized that Lunga had no obligation to deny her destiny for me, right? I didn't get that at first. No, she didn't. She had no obligation.
I got chills from that statement.
Because you must remember, she's not here of her own accord. She's here because she's got an assignment. And that assignment has specific people aligned to her, right? And her husband was one of those people. But because I was still operating with ego during that time, and I had not gone through the process of healing, I felt like she had to sit side by side with me, especially because I was pregnant, and commiserate with me. And she could do that. And I did not understand that then. She could sit with me and commiserate with me, but still not deny her destiny.
Absolutely.
For me.
I like that.
Sure. Nah. Okay. Back to you.
Back to me. So then, like she said, I had an assignment, and that was revealed during my time in prayer, right? And then I then decided to be obedient to what was happening through me and to me, through my time spent with God, right? And then I then agree to marry him. And then...
The whole time he's still coming back saying, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But then remember, if I now am making a decision to marry him, I then also have to make this decision, or also be in agreement with the fact that this guy has done this and there's a child there. Therefore, I need to be acceptant of that child. I can't choose the man and not want the child.
Yes.
So I'm going into this marriage already accepted that the fact that this guy has a child.
Like a stepmom.
Yes, and I was intentional about it. I had good intentions with it, because also right there and then, I was not going to carry the narrative that people have around the stepmom narrative that there is already. I did not want to be that. And I was like, I'm going to love this child. So I went into marriage intentional about the role now I also needed to play, being the wife and also being the stepmom and also being mom to my kids.
The saying that I'm thinking of as you're saying that is the have your cake and eat it.
Yes.
And in the sense that you choose to go on with this man, but you want to hold on to bitterness.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right saying, but
Yeah.
that's the thing
No,
that came to mind.
absolutely. I think you're right.
You hold on to bitterness and you don't execute. I remember a woman who was mentoring a younger wife, an older wife mentoring a younger wife, who said, if you are going to forgive this, because being on the fence will kill you.
Yeah.
Go fully in with your forgiveness, because being on the fence will just make your life miserable, and you're harboring bitterness and you're sharing this bitterness with the child. Everybody's experience is now bad.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to let go.
Yeah.
But I want to say to that also, Ursh, that, sometimes people in these situations, particularly in my situation, when they are manifesting or or they manifesting their heartbreak. People say they bitter baby mamas, insecure and whatnot. And I feel that God gave us a full spectrum of emotions for a reason, right? That even your bitterness must be validated at a point where it needs to come out. So if I'm in a period where I'm bitter. Don't try and fast track my process to a place where I'm now joyful. Because also I'm going to lose the lessons, right? That move me from bitterness to harmony. If you want to push me to that. So validate the person. If they are angry, they're angry. If they are bitter, they are bitter. It's a whole spectrum of emotions for a reason, right? But also I want to say the opposite of that is also true and necessary, that acknowledge the emotion, sit in it for a while. Don't sit in it forever, right?
Yes.
Don't sit in it forever. Push beyond that emotion, but don't silence the emotion when it's not ready to be silenced. Acknowledge it, feel it, sit in it, and then make a plan to move forward. So the whole narrative of bitter baby mamas, I feel, let's ask them, sit with them, ask them, why are you bitter, right? And help them vent, help them bring that which is inside that. Well, you know, some baby mamas have not even had the opportunity to say, I actually wanted to be married to him, right? And that's why I'm bitter, because she got the family and I didn't, right? And once they're able to say that, they're able to move past that. But we just want to always just say, you are bitter, you are angry. Yes, they were betrayed. It's painful.
And they're allowed to
yes.
be. Woo. Right? Yo, thank you. Okay. So now, you go back and you say, okay, I'll forgive you. You guys get married. And now you need to actively start participating in this child's life. What happens?
It is fire. It is fire. It is fire. The fights are at a level that is like, oh my God, what is this, And understandably so as well. And we then also fought, But then the thing with me was that this lady, before the fighting and everything, when she approached me, she did not fight with me and she did not ask to be in the situation. So now we're finding ourselves at pulling each other's necks. Yes. Yet she actually didn't even ask this herself. So at the back of my head, I understood where she was coming from, honestly. So I then decided to change my ways, right? Let me change so that, because also in the process of fighting, I'm also not who I am, right? I'm also losing myself because I'm trying to put up this fight as well. But it's actually not even necessary, So then I decide to not fight anymore. And then I also decided to, remember, it's happening to me and not to her. So it's coming in from one end, but how I then had to control myself meant a lot to me as well. Because also during that process, I was then also able to focus on my assignment as well as a wife, and also concentrate on my assignment on what I actually wanted to achieve with my stepchild as well, And now we're also having our own children. I also wanted that. So I had to silence the voice that is coming in to try and shift my direction from being able to pursue and conquer and put in what needed to be put in my role and in my assignment.
I love this. I love this. Silence the voice that distracts you from the assignment. The assignment is to have a good relationship with my stepchild.
Yes.
The assignment is to have a happy home.
Yes.
But the voice can be so loud.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I then changed. And also being a child of God, for God is on some, girl, you can't be doing this. So, and also that a lot, actually, most of it had a lot to do with how God and the Holy Spirit was actually also ministering to me at that time. So then what happens? We then...
So with her intentionality towards our daughter, right? So our daughter started going to visit them when she was a year and a half. So we did the whole access thing for them. And so she's growing. She's 15 years old today. So she's growing in the midst of these two families, right? I remember realizing that if I don't want to pass on an inheritance of bitterness to my child, I'm going to need to heal. But I'm also going to need to co-parent, because it is important for this child to have her father. And those two things can coexist, right? My healing can coexist with my journey of co-parenting. And I find that sometimes a lot of us women, because we are embittered and it was a painful breakup, we feel that I want to focus on my healing first, right? And then we say no access to the child whilst I'm going through my own healing journey. So I had to make a decision, because children have a short window to be children, right? So I had to make a decision and ask myself whether I want this child to grow up with an inheritance of my bitterness and anger, or do I want to heal and also allow her to have her relationship with her dad? Because what happened between her dad and I has nothing to do with her and her dad's relationship, right? And that was a painful realization as well. It's not like I had this aha moment and it was like, and the angels sang, because it meant to me that then I have to engage with them, right? Then I have to see them. And I have to see them in the midst of scars that are still healing, right? So I had to have a plan for my own healing journey whilst co-parenting. And so Lunga became very intentional about how she would parent our daughter. So my child, like when she would come back home after a weekend visit or a day visit, she would just be talking about Lunga. Yeah, dad here and there, but Lunga was a focal point. And so you must remember, I didn't know this woman, right? We met at a place of darkness. So, and what came out of each other to each other was dark, right? So I don't know her, I don't know her character, I don't know what her belief systems are. I know nothing about her except the fact that we were dating the same guy. And now I get reintroduced to who she is through my daughter's eyes. So my daughter would come and tell me stories about her. And you know how children are just joyful. And they'll say, oh, and then I did this with Mommy Lunga and I did that. And I mean, that was also just a tough one for me.
I can imagine.
I'm also like the
I'm your
jealousy.
mother.
Yay.
Yeah, it was. Especially when she started calling her mom.
Yeah.
It was an issue.
Yeah,
It was a big thing.
I can imagine. I would be touched.
No, I was touched because she came home one day and she's like, oh, we were doing this with and that and this with Mommy Lunga, right? And all the time it was Auntie Lunga. So now it's Mommy Lunga. I'm like, what? And she's like 2 going to 3 then, right? 3 going to 4. And she says, Mommy Lunga. And I'm like, Mommy Lunga? Who told you she's Mommy Lunga? And she's like, no, I think she saw my reaction. And so she pinned it on them and said, no, it's her that said I must. And I called them. I called or emailed or something, but I called.
Email.
Yeah, you know. So I called and I said, no, mommy, ke Auntie Lunga, and I'm the only mom and whatnot. And I remember after the call sitting with myself and just reflecting on what I had just said. And I thought about whether that statement was true, right? We say we are raising a child as a community. You know how we, especially black people, we like...
Takes a village.
You know, it takes a village. And at that time, I have a nanny. At that time, I have friends that my daughter is also calling mommy, right? So my question to myself was, what is the issue? Because it's not like she's the first person other than me to be called mommy by my daughter. What is the actual issue? What is the issue? And I had to realize that this was just part of the healing process. It was just another trigger in the healing process. And so I sat my daughter down and I said to her, listen, after a period of obviously thinking about this, I said to her, what do you want to call her? And she said, can I call her mom? And I said, it's fine. From today, just know you've got two moms.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
That's the reflection I'm having in my head, where our own ones can really take away from kids, because now she has two moms.
Yeah.
Like, that's an amazing experience on
Yeah.
earth to have two mothers.
Yeah.
Yo, man, Tandy, this wisdom that you're spitting out, and just so much self-awareness and so much honesty, and sure, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And to even recant,
Yeah.
to come back and I mean, after you've pulled out a fuss in an email,
Yeah.
you know, our pride doesn't allow us to go back
Yeah.
and say, hey, she can actually call you mom. She wants to call you mom.
Yeah.
I said what I said, babe, so come on up, you know, but you allowed yourself to be humble.
You know, when did the penny drop for me? I remember one day standing in front of the mirror and I was just looking at myself and just thinking about a lot of things that had happened in my life. Because this was not the issue. The issue was that this was my life. It was a life of dysfunction from childhood, right? So this was just another stop in the journey of dysfunction until that time. So I remember just standing and watching myself in the mirror, and I thought to myself, so how did you get here? And all I could see and hear was, you are the common denominator in everything that's happened. You were the one that was always present. Even before X, right? There were other X's. So I had to take stock. How did those relationships end? And there was a clear pattern, a very similar pattern. And I had to be honest with myself that there's no way but to bar from different places, not knowing one another from above soap. The relationships kind of end the same way, right? There's a whole lot of acrimony, right? And so the common denominator is me. And that was a painful realization, right? When you look at yourself and you're like,
I'm the problem.
You are the problem.
Yes.
But it was also freeing for me because I realized that if I could create that mess, surely the thing I need to look at is the fact that I can create, right? So I created a mess. I can recreate and start from scratch and create a life that I really want to live. And that's what I started doing.
Sure. And you know, I love what you're saying about coming from dysfunctionality. And we second guess that coming from it is all we know. So in essence, it's what we attract. Because Kinto always say, oh, this looks familiar. Why Adumela?
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of psychology, but Gasoto. You know, you become attracted to this thing that you know, and now it becomes a pattern. You know what I mean? And I say his name wrong, apparently. I don't know how to say it. Eckhart Tolle?
Yeah.
Eckhart Tolle, something, I don't know. Speaks of, like, I could have mentioned this in another episode, but I never forget this. He talks about, he's got a talk where he's talking about Groundhog Day, which is a movie, and the same day keeps repeating until this man finally escalates outside of complaining and celebrating the day and enjoying the day. Then he finally manages to escape. So he talks about, you know, we spoke about it in psychology, basically attracting the pattern. He speaks of, like, finding yourself in a loop where you're not graduating. Every time you fail the test, you know, the universe, God.
And even God says, people say, I don't know how true this is, but God will keep teaching you the lesson until you get it.
You gotta pass.
And you will go through the same things until you get it.
And the thing with that is that it doesn't look like it's the same test because the players keep changing, right? And you are rotating players around you, whether it's friends, whether it's ex-lovers, whether it's colleagues, but you're doing the same thing, right? So you're thinking it has changed because of the players, and it hasn't, and it won't change until the one player changes.
I want to go back to the story before people say, you interjected the guest and we wanted to hear more of the story. Excuse. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so let's go back to the story. You speak of with a lot of respect for your current husband, even you, the father of your child. At some point, you know, I can't remember what she said, but there were two things that made me realize, you know, you said no judgment firstly, and then there was something else I forgot to, I wish I could remember, but you guys will hear it, where there's a bit of honor and grace that you're offering to this man, right? And so throughout the story so far up to this point, he's been the bad guy. When does he become somebody that you can honor and respect?
You can take it first.
No, but look, first and foremost, he's not a bad guy in general. He's actually not a bad guy. But I'll take it back when now I'm married to him, and there's still a whole lot of bickery. And I remember when she then allowed us to go and meet the child for the first time. We met at a restaurant. And when we are there and we get to see the baby, I saw how my husband was really longing for this. This is what he had actually wanted, you know. And I saw how he interacted with her. That time I was heavily pregnant now with our child, and we had these unspoken words with each other, with my husband, you know. And I then saw a man who had longed to be with his daughter and was grasping every moment and cherishing this beautiful baby that is here. And he loved her, you know. So as we're looking at each other, it's almost like, yeah, babe, this is it. You know, there's that confirmation with, oh, finally, we get to share this sacred moment with this child. And for me, I was like, yes, Lord. This is the kind of husband I want for my children, if he's able to give out effortlessly this kind of reaction towards his daughter, you know. And I also remember saying that I will never be a hindrance to him experiencing his child at any given time. You know, if this is the kind of person, his eyes spoke a lot. His affection towards his daughter spoke a lot, and it mattered to him. Again, a reassurance for me that I will make anything possible for this man to be able to share this kind of experience with his children.
I love what you're saying, because sometimes anger would want you to celebrate him not wanting to have the child in his life. And I know a story where a man abandoned his child because the current wife said, we're not playing that game. And it's lack of wisdom to celebrate that in a man, because you should want to be with a man who says, babe, I love you, but that's my daughter. And I want to love my daughter wholeheartedly as well.
For me, it changed when I was taking stock, right? And I remember thinking, are the things that I said in Heartbreak true, right? Like that he's a cheater, that he is a liar, that he is toxic, which is what we do. We brand the whole person as toxic, as a cheater, as a liar. So I had to see him truthfully, because I had a relationship with this person for a couple of months. So I had to remember the truth, the actual truth, not what I wanted to project in my heartbreak. And I remembered that he's kind, right? There were moments of kindness. And I remembered that he's funny. I remembered that he actually does love God. But I also remembered that he's wounded, right? Because we've had those conversations where we would talk about the wounds that were caused by his own childhood. So, and I thought to myself, if I can give myself slack, right? If I can say mercy for me, why not mercy for him? Right? Why not mercy for him? And I think that's what we do. We walk away from people and we change the narrative about them. Right? We walk away from them, and even if it's a friend or it's a colleague that's done you wrong, you change the entire narrative of that relationship. And you don't speak the entire truth of the relationship. And I feel like if you're going to say something about someone or why things ended, don't brand the person with the entirety of the experience that ended the relationship. Right?
Public enemy number one. This is speaking to me.
We literally just...
And it's not true.
It's not true.
Right? We walk away from people that we've had relationships with for 10 years, 5 years, and all we have to say about them is the story that ended the relationship.
Sure.
And so we brand people incorrectly and by default slandering them. And I felt, so I had a brother who passed on, right? And one of the last things that he said to me was he was hurting about why our father abandoned us, right? And all through his life, he had never said anything about that hurting him.
Yes.
And to see that at the end of his life, I realized there's a lot of things a man carry without saying, right? So I had to see him. I had to see that this is the father of my child. So number one, even if I tell the story, I'm not going to disparage him. So I'm not sitting here and pointing a finger at him and saying he's a bad guy and whatnot. He's just a player. He was really just a player. Could have been Thabo instead of Alex, for instance, right? But it was him in my journey. And I had to acknowledge that that's what we do, particularly to men. We teach our little boys, don't cry, right? Boys don't cry. And then when they bleed because they can't cry, right? And they bleed mainly into relationships and marriages. When they bleed, we still say your feelings are invalidated, or your trauma is invalidated, or your pain is invalidated. And so I chose to not do that. I chose to see him and to honor him. And as I was honoring him, I saw him change, not only as a father, but also as Nokulunga was honoring him, I saw him change to the man that he is today. So the man that we are introducing as someone that caused our introduction no longer exists, right? This is a completely different man that we are talking about. And that's why I sometimes when you tell the story, people want the salacious part of it. Oh, the man, you know. And like, this is a real human being. He didn't choose that we must have this conversation publicly. And so there are things about him that we're going to respect and not say. And ultimately also, he's the father of my child. I'm not here to disparage him.
Yes.
Because that's not the family I'm raising. Yeah.
Sure. Like 1 million questions running at the same time in my head, you know. So I want to speak to at which point now you start changing, your posture towards it start changing. First of all, I really like the point of people graduating and being completely different to the person you met 5-10 years ago. That's absolutely amazing because we become so different. There's certain friends I had in varsity that when I see them now, they don't know me. You have no idea who I am, you know, because I've just changed so much. And these are things that, you know, even with the era of social media, people want to hold you to things you said 10 years ago. When it's like, you can't do that. I've changed and I've evolved so much. So I really like that point. Okay. So now when we move on to you start changing your posture towards her and she starts reciprocating. When do you guys have this moment where, girl, let's meet for coffee?
Sisterhood.
Girl, let's meet for coffee.
I look at how she looks at you. She looks at you with so much love.
And affection. They're friends.
Yes.
In the email they said to graduating to sisterhood. I said, let me read that again. Baby mama, step mama, graduating. I read it 3 times before I could really, really, really understand what you were saying. Yeah.
Remember, I'm feeling this way, right? And she's not at that particular time. And I had to work on my patience, that I cannot rush her because she's also needing her healing journey, right? So I then thought of a way that, okay, well, it's not me, the Holy Spirit then, because I don't know her at the time. The person that I have access to was our daughter, right? Boy, did we not have nice word. I would be teaching the child the word, because I knew that this is what she can take back home to her mom. I don't know who her mom is. I don't know her background. I don't know where she's coming from. But what I know is that this child is going to speak the word, you know? And in a very subtle manner, I'm introducing myself that, girl, I'm not that girl who's up here and wanting these fights. actually, and I'm actually a Christian. And in my head at that time, I'm thinking she's gonna say, oh well, Shem, at least type of thing. But then I introduce shakes to the word together with my children. It is our lifestyle here at home as well. So then she gets to share that with her mom. All the time it was actually an intention of mine that she will know the word.
John 16,
Yes.
for God so loved the world. That's baby girl Africa weekend day.
So something.
Yeah. So and also with that, I am now maintaining who I am. Because this is me. I then now, even when she is having her down moments, I am not that one who's going to now change to what she is retaliating about. Yes. So, and another thing is that I was consistent and constantly the person that I am introducing myself to be, And then I remember when my husband would be the one calling our daughter. And I did not really have a relationship outside of when she is at home.
The visits.
Yeah. So then when we would call, the phones would get dropped when it's my turn to talk to girl, And
I've repented.
yeah. So even with that, I could remember I'm maintaining myself. There are things that are coming up that could easily just irritate me and take me out. But again, I still needed to be consistent in who I'm saying that I'm not going to fight this fight like this. Even with this, I'm not going to deal
Like
this. Yes, like that.
Yes, that takes a lot of EQ, a lot of, and like you said, the Holy Spirit.
Yeah,
You are being guided by the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, because there are those bits and moments where you can see that, the sassiness is coming back, but it's okay, Then I think a couple of years after, I'm like, no, man, I want to be the mom that calls her daughter, And I was at work, I remember, and I tell my colleague that, look, I want to call my daughter, but I don't know if this girl is going to chop off my head or not, And at this time, remember, when we go pick up our daughter, I still see her and it's a hi, how are you type of thing, But I don't know whether if the waters are okay now, So I tell my colleague this. Thank God my colleague was also a Christian. She says, no, man, Lunga, go pray about it. I'm like, yeah. But it's so heavy in me. Like, I miss her, and I want to call her. But now I have to wait till it's later on when my husband is back from work as well for me to call her. So I'm like, it is what it is. If I burn, I burn. Yeah. I take the call and I then call her like, hey, dear, this is actually Sheik's mom speaking. May I please speak with Ushekina? And her response then answered every doubt that I had, because it was now oh, hi, how are you? And I'm like, really?
I got the right number. What's going on?
So, and then she calls Sheiks. I speak to her and then I thank her afterwards for the call. And then I remember then we had a phone call that lasted almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then we said our apologies. I apologized. She apologized. And, and a lot of things we were finding out during the phone call that it was actually a fight that prolonged unnecessarily,
nothing.
And after our
How many years is this now? How old is Sheik at this point?
I think this was in 2017.
She was 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a good 7-8 years.
Yeah.
But also, the intensity of the fight had also decreased.
Yeah.
So when we met, it was in 2009. So obviously it was at high peak. And then as you go through your own healing journey, 2 years in, it's not as intense as before, but there are still things that are irritating you, right? But it's not as intense. So it really just followed a natural progression towards a place of harmony. It wasn't an overnight thing. So we then started talking, but just a little bit. Hey, how are you? I'm good. Can I speak to Shekina? And that's where our discussion would end, right? And then, but I had seen her gracefulness over a period of time. She was very consistent in that characteristic. And which
I'm sure your daughter not coming back with stories. Those
those
would
things
warm your heart
matter.
where you felt safe to send her there.
Because when you move from the heartache of the romantic relationship ending, and then now you're sitting with having to redefine the relationship with the father of your child because it's no longer a romantic relationship. So you redefine it primarily with parenthood. And when that is settled, now your main concern as a mother, or I would think that it would be, is my child loved? Is my child cared for when she goes to this woman's house? And I had consistently seen that to be true, right? So there was really nothing to fight anymore.
Yes.
Beyond that, I would have just been evil, right? And try to perpetuate something that's no longer there. I had seen everything that I needed to see in all those steps, and that closed the gaps and the pain in my life. So I was happy. And then over a period of time, then we started, as we would open up to one another, then we had that 2-hour-long conversation over a phone. And we said our sorries, and we clarified narratives that were not true, that we were still holding on to. But now I can support it because of you. And it's like, no, it's not true. I was pushing for this, but my boundaries were limited, right? Because I can't push beyond a certain point, because legally, who am I?
Sure. I love firstly the longevity of it. Sometimes we want the story to come to an end quickly. We want the healing to happen now, otherwise it's never happening and the bridge is burned. So you're saying 7 years of a process just going on and on until eventually it unveils what who for Lile now, So sometimes the rush, we want things to happen quickly, and if it doesn't happen within 3 years, we'll never be friends. Me and that lady will never be friends. But that's not true. You don't know what life has in store, and you don't know what it will look like 5 years from now.
I never thought so.
Yeah, and look, I was okay with us just being amicable. With each other.
Yes.
This I never even prayed for. I didn't even ask for it. I never even thought it could happen. But the whole thing about it was, I remember when I then also invited them over to our home, like her and her husband over to our home during our daughter's birthday, whereas a lot of people would be like, but why do you have to invite them over? I'm like, no, but then this is our daughter's birthday. She wants this, I never wanted my daughter to look back and be like, oh, Marana, I was not given this and that because I come from two separate families. So why can't we as families come together just to give this child the best that she actually deserves? She deserves to have an honorable birthday. She has two parents, two families, right? So why can't we then bring it up just for her? Why can't we work together just for her? So so then I remember now Shekina then moved in to come and stay with us permanently. And then now it's almost as if they are...
Tandy, how did you let that happen?
So I had just had a baby who passed on. She lived for a day and she passed on. So I didn't have the capacity, honestly. I was dealing with a lot of things at that time. So thankfully, our relationship at that time was at a point where I was comfortable with her coming to live with them. And she lived with you guys for 4 years, and I was relocating during that time to come to Pretoria. So she lived with them for 4 years. So at that time, a lot of things were ironed out. So the issues that were there previously were no longer there. So I'm so grateful for that, because there was a support system that I could trust with my daughter whilst I was going through
I know you've got a
grief
question.
process.
Lunga didn't finish her point though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I wanted to say that also now there are milestones that Shekina is going to go through. It is better when I relate them with her mom in a very, in an open,
Absolutely.
Graduation.
Her
There's all
wedding day.
that. Yes, so I need to share these with her. Some moments are moments where I need to call and be like, girl, you don't know what the girl did today, and you can't have that if you're not even working, towards that,
I'm just thinking about the beauty of Ostandi having the ability to rely on you as a support system. You think your support system is going to be your mother, your sister, or an aunt. You never think it's, of course, her father's there, of course, but the weight on taking care of a child in any household falls mostly on the mother. So the fact that you had that as a support system, it wasn't a mother, it wasn't a sister, it wasn't an aunt. Not to say they're not there, but it was the baby daddy's wife. That is so amazing. That is so different.
It's so different.
Sure.
I've got two questions, ne? And because I've scared that I'm going to forget, but I want to speak to the healing journey of getting to this place. Firstly, do you think that you finding your own husband helped you a lot?
When he walked in, I was fine already.
Were you guys fine, Lily, too?
He walked into a well-oiled co-parenting machine. So I was intentional. I knew that I was gonna. I knew that I was gonna get married, right? And I knew also that I don't want my husband to walk into unnecessary insecurities, right? And to be dealing with unnecessary drama. Because sometimes we invite people into our lives and we have not sorted the mess. And when they become insecure because of the mess that we have not sorted, then it's like, you are insecure. But it's you. You have not put boundaries around your baby daddy. You have not put boundaries around your baby mama, but you're expecting this person to walk in and not feel a certain way, right? Or not feel insecure, right? So I was very intentional about the boundaries that I was putting in place during that time, so that when I meet whoever I want to marry, right, the issues are not my personal issues. The issues are about us coming together and how we can coordinate that, right? Not necessarily my issues that I have neglected or things that I'm still dealing with that are not sorted out. So when he walked into a well-oiled machine. As a result, he became friends with Lunga's husband. Right, so it was a hi. So they speak. It does feel like a movie, but I also want, when people look at this, they see the finished product, right? They see, oh, it's so beautiful. How do you do it? And when we say to people, it's been 15 years of intentional work, right? 15 years of at times being triggered and having to deal with a trigger, right? And not bring it up and cause it to ruin the relationship all over again. 15 years of negotiating and renegotiating because we don't have similar parenting styles, right? So even when Shekina was living there, at their home, it was part of the journey for me was take a step back, right? And not want to dictate the parenting styles there and helping the child cope.
Shekina or like an 8. So Diana or I can phone like a 9-year-old. I get you.
You understand? Because ultimately it looks like we are in each other's business, but we actually are not. She's got her own household that she runs. I've got my own household, and we've got our own standards and boundaries. So it was, for me, very important that my husband walks into that, whoever it was going to be. And it works because I was very intentional about it.
And then another question that I had for you was to say, do you guys think being part of the same religion has helped you?
I believe so, but I also believe the principles that make for harmony are universal, right? They really are. So it doesn't have to be.
By the way, I'm assuming that you guys are both Christian.
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay.
We
okay.
are. And for us, that's what that was the common ground, right? Speaking to the Holy Spirit and understanding what Scripture says. But the principles are universal. We know the principles: forgive, right? Mercy, be merciful.
I love this.
Be faithful, be loyal, right? They're universal. You go to a Muslim home and you ask, it's the same principles. I want joy, I want peace, I want harmony, I want faithfulness, loyalty, I want trust. They're universal. So for me, the common issue in even all the religions is the ego of human beings.
Yes.
Ultimately.
Yes.
Because in Christianity, what makes the principles of God ineffective is the ego. In the Muslim community, it's the ego, right? In the white community, it's the ego. Once you tackle the ego and you deal with the ego, and the ego is that which elevates self above the harmony of the situation, right? And I've had plenty of moments to deal with the ego and to kill my ego.
Yes.
Because there were things that when I look back, sometimes when I have these conversations with people, they say, I would not have done that. And I say, that thought also crossed my mind. But then there was another thought, right? And the other thought was, you are responsible for bringing a person into the world. She did not ask for this. So if you have to put you aside so that she can be okay with her dad, do that.
Okay, but then now, let's speak practically to, I understand the principles of the same, I completely agree with that. But should it have been a relo patlangwana? Patsa. That's what I said. So a relo patlangwana, and or something, a little bit more extreme with some of the
Pata, by
religions.
the way, is 2 marks.
Oh, yes. When
Or
they
not 2 marks, but marking and then adding medicine sometimes.
Yes. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, like you're saying, the principles are the same: love, faithfulness, peace, but then there's certain other aspects to religion that, they do this in this religion and in another religion they do that. Or I don't want to just make it one example, who patangwana, because people might think I'm, anti or something like that. Let's just say now like a red band, where they have to wear like a red band all the time, or wana like a dot demon, like
Anything.
how would it have impacted the relationship? And so everything that you say, you allowed yourself to step back from how she parents, we're still in the bounds of what you find comfortable.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you were like, hey, left field, reel it in, I don't want my daughter involved in this?
I think my concerns flared up as a mom because Lunga has a big family. So I did not know the family, right? So when my child is over there, my child is here, there, and everywhere, and I don't know these people, right? So you would find that sometimes my heart is palpitating, because it's like, where are you when I call? Oh, I'm in the midst of uncle who and uncle who and uncle, and I'm thinking this is South Africa, right? And the girl child, and I'm thinking all of those things. I think what helped was me voicing those concerns to Lunga.
Yes.
To say, I don't know whether they're rational or irrational, but they are here.
Yes.
I've got these concerns, and please help me manage these concerns, because I don't know who Uncle Lou
who
is.
somebody is, your
Right.
brother to you. He's not my brother.
He's not my brother, right? So, and to voice that and to hear her validate, first of all, those concerns as a mom, and then secondly, understanding that she will protect my child the way she would protect her own girl child, right? Settled those concerns for me. I don't know if this would have been as easy had, for instance, I been in a co-parenting situation where the other person wants two parts, for instance, like you said. I don't know if it would have been this easy, because it would have gone completely against my belief system, right? And I think one of the ways that these situations can be regulated, so that, because if you don't regulate them in some way, the emotions always take over, right? So there's parenting plans that can be put in place. And I look at parenting plans, for me, I look at them as something that can regulate you beyond emotions, because you can't trust your emotions. They vacillate. Today they're up, tomorrow they're down, tomorrow you know, there must be something that's bigger than your emotions. That's regulating the both of you in this parenting relationship. You know, I've got a son that I got before I met my husband as well. Me and the dad together decided to go and do a parenting plan and put it in legal form, right? Stamp it and say, this is what regulates us. Not when you wake up one day and you feel you know, for this or for that. So that helped us and moved us beyond needing that parenting plan at some point to being
to stick to
civil,
the plan.
right? So, and that included everything. It included religion, how are we raising this child? It included holidays, Father's Day, Mother's Day, anything that could potentially be a cause for a flare-up between the two of us, right? So I think find something that will regulate your parenting beyond your emotions. That will guide both of you.
Can I ask how your relationship is with your son's father's partner? Is it also good?
It is good in the sense that we're not friends, but we're not enemies. It's hi. When we see each other, we hug. Hi, how are you doing? I'm good. Here's my son.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's also very cordial.
Yeah, it's very cordial.
Relationship.
We're not friends like Lunga and I are friends, but we are friendly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
she came into the picture long after I was gone. So.
Okay. Okay. It wasn't the same. It wasn't as touch and go. Okay.
No.
And then if you could also paint a picture of now what a casual day looks like in your household, that you guys are friends, a bride situation.
Yes.
Your husbands are sitting
Because
together,
now you're friends.
laughing and chatting. But it's soccer, Chelsea versus Arsenal. Is that a thing? I'm not too sure. You know, is that?
There's videos.
Yeah, no, there's videos. Now recently, our daughter turned 15, and we were at Gold Reef City, and our husbands are walking there together. You know, there's videos of us and you guys together. You know, so it's casual. There's nothing. I don't know, because this is a reality for me. It's not like, oh my gosh, we're sitting. No, it's like,
we're doing live.
And also with that, it was actually for sheikhs more than us, you know, for her to have the experience, like I said, of both the families together at once. Imagine if now she has to go, because she organized this with my husband, the Gold Reef City thing. So imagine if now she wants to spend the day with both families, but she can't. Even for her, it's difficult to say, actually, I want my brother from my mom's side there. I want my brothers from this side there as well. Making it awkward for her, you know? So she doesn't have that. And that's very important for us, that she doesn't have what other kids are going through. For her, it's not a normality. You know, we've created her normal because we are able. We have the capacity to do it. So we are going to create this kind of environment for our children as well. You know, because I know her son, Shekina's brother, plays Xbox with my son. Away from sheikhs, away from us as the parents, you know, they are friends. We had nothing to do with it, but it's casual. It's just
together.
And you would have robbed your son of having their older sister and a relationship with their older, because this goes beyond you. You know, the time will come where they say goodbye to you guys, and what stays behind is the relationship that they have. You know,
that's exactly what I told them. That out of us as the parents, when you guys grow up, you guys have each other, and you don't start then, you start now. You know, and one of the most amazing things that Sheikhs actually also does is to have her role as the big sister. My goodness, she's big
whips
sister.
them into
Yes,
order.
she will cook them a meal. She will place them there, and then she'll tell them that this is what's going on, And she does that not only this side, but also that side as well.
It's who she
I
is.
also see with also my sister's kids. Like she said, we're a big family. My children are also my sister's children. Like in the literal form. Like if I'm planning to go to the movies, for instance, it's not just my 4 kids. It's my 4 kids and her 4 kids. So it's like for parties we don't really invite.
Aid, you are the party.
We are the party.
I mean, at Gold Reef, we were 16.
Yeah.
Just for me.
Just
Oh
us.
my.
16.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah?
Sure. So that's the picture. That's the picture.
Yeah.
16 of you guys having a good time
Yeah.
and life is moving.
Yeah. And it's normal. It's not, like I say, it's not like
It's not weird.
Yes.
It's weird to other people because they're not used to seeing this kind of situation. But for us, because we've been carrying this for a while now, it's years of this.
Yes,
Right. So for us, it's like, but we also are graceful to people because we understand that it's a shock to the system.
it's not for
you
everyone
know.
as
It's
well.
a shock to the system when you first see it.
I was very consumed by this conversation. I had questions on end. I've really, really enjoyed this conversation. And so just any parting shots, if I have missed a question, something you'd like to share with the audience. I know that you've written a book. I'd like you guys to put your book on and how people can get your book. We'll also have the link of where they can get the stuff in the description box.
Yeah.
But outside of the book, parting shots, what would you like to share with us?
What I've always said and what I'll continue to say all the time is that God is intentional. God is intentional about our families, about our roles, about who we are and who we are also becoming. He's intentional about our children as well. So from a stepmom's point of view, don't hinder your stepchild. The child also deserves the love that they deserve. And give it. There's nothing so beautiful as sharing your love, Whether or not you get it back, that's a different dynamic on its own. But still, giving love takes absolutely nothing from you but just love, I've seen how God works. And I have a testimony today with this because of what God has done in my life, I always also get drawn back when I sit and I analyze things that she is not that I regard her as my apostle. She is now my apostle, not only mine, but also my husband's apostle. We honor her not only as our stepdaughter, but also also with the role that she plays in our lives, in her apostle. We have grown spiritually because of her, and we honor her with that as well. And I look back to say, I could have taken this away from myself. My husband also could have taken this part of his journey away from her because he could have resented her for whatever reason there was, or maybe because of the spark that there was, or the fights that were there, But today we can look at her and say, this is our apostle,
Sure.
Yeah. So God is intentional. That's how intentional God is.
Sure. Yes.
So, don't be too quick to decide that this is it, right? And this is how your life has been, and this is how it will continue. I believe firmly in living your life by design, that really the external, there's nothing you can do about what's happened to you, right? But you can always come back to recreate your life. And from any point, really, whether it's from abandonment, whether it's from daddy issues, whether it's from other, you can come back to recreate your life. You don't have to live your life with the sentencing of people that have gone ahead of you, or people that are still dealing with their own wounds. You can make a decision what your life would look like. And I chose to live the life that I'm living. It didn't happen haphazardly. I had to make many decisions along the pathway. Yes. And every day I was confronted with either hurt or heal. I would one day choose heal, and on other days I would choose hurt, and I would come back to heal again. And that's how messy it is. But there is beauty beyond this matter. And I see in our society, particularly with men don't want to go to therapy, right? There's a stigma around that. And I've seen the father of my son prepare himself for the arrival of our son by going to therapy. And he became a better father because of it. So whatever it is, whether it's therapy, whether it's religion, whether it's whatever it is for you, but find that place where you can say, okay, here's what it has been before, and here's what I would like it to look like, and help me with the pathway.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Plug us on the book. Name of the book.
Name of the book is called The Blended and the Beautiful.
The Blended and the Beautiful. How can people get it?
You can go on cwmnation.com.
Okay.
And there's a link there to the book.
Blended and Beautiful.
The Blended and the Beautiful.
The Blended and the Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tani. Thank you. Nokulunga, you guys are absolutely amazing. So much wisdom. You guys need to pause, rewind. I'm going to be doing that as well. That was today's episode of The Conversation Capital, chatting everything to do with the blended families. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For now, though, goodbye and God bless.